Hello, I'm Hazel Barron-Cooper, the Learning Officer at the Hatton Gallery, and I'm going to show you some simple techniques that you can use for illustration. So first of all, we're going to look at how to make collages, sort of things you can find hopefully in your homes. Gift wrap of all kinds, tissue, these kind of things can be used, different patterns and textures, even gift tags, luggage tags. If you've got any, if you look around for scraps of paper, different textures on, cut up even little pieces like this, ragged edges, bits of hessian, anything with an interesting texture. As you can see with this group, I've actually grouped them together in a kind of sort of colours that are like each other. So that's another thing you can do, look for. Use magazines you might have been reading during lockdown, cut them up, keep them for lettering as well, sorts of things here. As you can see, I think you would tend to, as I do, you collect things and are drawn to certain things that you're interested in anyway, you can keep and use. If you want to, if you know you're going to do something bright and a more cheerful mode, you can use an image like this, which is in fact itself a cover from a children's magazine, and it is collaged in itself with different coloured papers. Also keep and look for any postcards you may have had for a long time lying around, bits of old calendar, and brochures like this wonderful one from the Annick Playhouse, which I've had since 2016. I think I grabbed quite a few of them at the time. All of these have got lettering in, images you could use, and it actually might spark you in a way of writing poetry from it rather than illustrating the poems. It might work the other way around too. So the first thing I'm going to do is looking at how to create a pictorial collage. Let's move these items out of the way. Using other photographs to make your own kind of photo montage. So I've got these various bits and pieces here, and I'm going to look through this brochure. I'm just going to make something on this sheet of paper, A4 paper, and look through here, and I'm drawn to this image, I think, here. So what I've got like to do is to tear rather than to cut. So I'm just going to tear this out initially. I haven't got a particular text in mind, I'm just doing this to illustrate to you. I'm nearly done. Tear around a nice torn edge. I mean, you can cut as well. I might do a combination of cutting and tearing. So I'm drawn to that image. I'll keep that there. I'm not going to stick it down yet because I want to get the composition sorted out. In this I really like this image of the stars from Kielder Observatory, so I'm going to tear a star like, I don't really want the telescope, I just want the stars. Look at those, tear those out quite randomly. I also like this area here with the trees in, so I'll tear that separately. There's that. I could perhaps later on use the lettering for something as well. It's a possibility. So that's 3 fragments I've got so far. I'm starting to look at it seems like quite a mysterious atmosphere is beginning to come out from the imagery. I like this as well, and this travel home for the holidays, all about staycations I might be having this summer. And I really like, don't want to use the tent image, but I do like this image of the trees, the dark trees against the light. So, and for this one I might actually cut it on that edge because it's got a nice severe sharp edge. Put that along. And this side, but the rest of it I think I'll tear into it around this area. It's all about randomness really. I'm still waiting to see what might happen. So within these pieces I also quite like this image, and perhaps these flowers from a magazine too. So what I'll start with is positioning these before I stick them, and if I look around I might put this, the stars might be higher there like that, the face over here, the figure there, that in that area. I'm not quite happy with that, so I'm going to move it around. I'm going to change it. So I've got this in the background behind the figure. So before you settle on what to do play around with the composition. I want to have that maybe behind there, and this down here, and I want some more, something else in this area, so I'm going to choose this. I think again with this one I'll cut round. Tear into it, and I'll just start to move that there. Perhaps quite like that because it looks quite similar to the sky. But I don't like the hard edge, so I am going to tear it after all. It was too severe, the edge. And just get its bit of softness to it. Then put that back. So I've got this, the sky forming here, the figure, these things. Yeah. Down here, the figure perhaps more central like that. That means I feel like I need something else here, so I'm going to go back to my star picture and find some more stars for the side. I quite like this dark blue area. I'll tear that. So you can see how it's in some ways it's quite random, but by the very nature you're down selecting things, it does have a sense to it, so I'm going to perhaps put that there. Nice. So now now I've worked out what's going to go where. I'm going to glue it down just using simple Pritt stick. That one was there. Move these things away. And then this sort of tree line. And as I've selected things, I suppose I've selected things that with similar colour and feeling. Once I've got sort of mood established, that one's going to go there. The other star section's going to go on this side. We've seen actually something quite nice on the reverse, so never mind, I'll keep that for another time. Goes here. Then this flower-like creation, which just melds in with the trees and the sky. It's the same similar colour to the sky. Oh, put a bit of glue on there, and quite like that, how that seems to flow quite nicely. And then time to have the figure. This is from the Ballet Giselle. They're cutting from the Annick Playhouse leaflet. And I'm going to have the figure actually here, place that part there, so and then have this at the base. It doesn't have to make pictorial sense in as much as you've got trees here, flowers there, trees. It's more about the way the whole thing looks and feels. And I've just, as I was cutting, I saw on the reverse of my star image, I've got a nice image of sort of stars swirling around, so I'm going to use that for down this area down here. I wanted quite a bit of Giselle to be seen, so I'll trim a bit of that away. Place it perhaps there. Still too much, a bit more. Have that flowing in, curving round a bit more like that. I'm quite happy with that. So it's a kind of start to it. I may do more to it later. But that's one idea that you can create, where you're actually using other images to make something that sort of melds well with your text. Or you could do another approach, which is have an idea for your poetry, or prose, do this, and then this will inform your text. So from looking at this, you can get ideas about, the diaphanous veil, the swirling sky, star-studded heavens, and then you can use those words within a text, so it can work both ways. So that's one way to do it. Another way is to create a abstract collage. So for this, using all these scraps of different coloured and textured papers, but again with these, as you're selecting, it's hard for humans to be random. Everything we do, even though we may think is random, has some selection within it. So even while selecting, you find you might choose the same sort of colours or textures, or you may set out to do that. With this, I've gone for sort of natural earthy colours, beiges, and natural materials like hessian. I've got some corrugated card here, which you can find from tearing any Amazon boxing apart and getting the inside of the card from it. And with this, I'm going to simply get some of the papers, play around with them. Just tear this a bit again to get a rougher edge. Let's have this here. And when it's abstract, this it's very much about composition, about what you think looks good where. I think everyone has that in them to see what they think looks balanced or what doesn't work. For example, I don't want mine to be like this, which is quite uniform, with things placed regularly. I'd rather it was sort of overlapping, merging together, and looking for different textures. So I may have this one on there, slightly different colour coming in over here. And again, I'm creating the collage first without actually gluing it to the surface. Quite like that one. Actually, I like the reverse of it. It's obviously the reverse of the same piece. Look at that there. And I like the corrugation on this, perhaps in that way. So it's not in any way meant to represent anything. It's just more about feeling of colours, textures that may go well with whatever text you are writing. That one, I'll leave it like that. I'll not actually glue it down, because you can get the idea from looking at it like that. You can also, of course, when you're working on things, you can put into them to make other shapes. Come into play in the collage. So if I wanted something that was jagged, or had a wanted something that wasn't soft looking, I can always cut shapes and apply them on top like this. So that's another way to do it, where you're actually creating a more random abstract collage. Go. Another method you can use is to actually use real objects. So using black paper, just so you can see it more clearly. And for this, I've got some objects I've collected while out walking, which is what I do anyway. These are from Rydal Caves in the Lake District. But you can use household objects, you can use, sort of toy animals, you can use bits of china, you can use bits of household everyday objects, you can use key rings, all sorts of things, anything you can see to hand. Something obviously that conveys your story, your poem. So for this, I set about laying these out just on the black paper. There's a bit of move that sort of cup handle around there, stone. Have that in there. That to me is a bit, I don't like the way that's just right slap in the middle, so I'm going to change it slightly. Like that. And yeah, these two blue and whites are opposite each other. It's a beautiful piece of stone. And this is actually the base of a quarryman's boot to protect the boot itself. It looks a bit like a prow of a Viking longship now, but anyway, that's so the objects kind of almost begin to tell a story. And what you do with this is you place it carefully and photograph it directly from above, and then that would actually be your illustration. But if you think laterally about it, you could use all sorts of things in this way. You can even do this with, you know, sort of decorative papers or